Courts of Justice Committee approving several bills.
Gun legislation is moving forward.
Citizens concerned about gun restrictions are taking action to protect their Second Amendment rights.
It's someone else's turn. Get out of the way.
It's our God-given right.
Every single Supreme Court justice just agreed on something about your gun rights. All 9 of them. And if you do not understand what they said before your next traffic stop, you could lose the very protections they just gave you. Here's what makes this ruling unlike almost anything we have seen in years. The Supreme Court almost never agrees unanimously on anything, let alone a case involving firearms and police authority. We are talking about justices who disagree on what day of the week it is suddenly landing on the exact same conclusion, with 0 dissents, 0 partial concurrences, and 0 wiggle room. When that happens, you stop what you're doing and you pay very close attention, because the constitutional line they just drew affects every single American who has ever had a firearm inside their vehicle during a traffic stop. And the scary part is not the ruling itself. The scary part is what happens to the people who never learn about it, who find out the hard way when a routine stop over a minor infraction spirals into something they never saw coming. That is not going to happen to you, but you need to understand not just what this ruling says, but where its protections end, because there are very specific moments during a traffic stop where this decision shields you completely, and there are other moments where one small mistake on your part makes the entire ruling worthless. To grasp why 9 justices felt the need to speak with one voice on this, you have to understand the collision that has been building for years between 2 of the most fundamental rights in the American system. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to keep and bear arms. Millions of people exercise that right every day, legally, responsibly, without a single issue. The Fourth Amendment guarantees protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. No government agent gets to rummage through your vehicle, your home, or your personal belongings without a warrant or a very specific legal justification known as probable cause. Both of those rights are bedrock, both are non-negotiable, and for a long time they existed side by side without any real friction. But then something started happening in courtrooms across the country that should alarm every law-abiding gun owner. Lower courts began building a doctrine that essentially treated the presence of a legal firearm as an automatic green light for law enforcement to search a vehicle. The logic chain went like this. Firearms are inherently dangerous. A dangerous object in a vehicle makes the situation inherently unsafe. An unsafe situation gives the officer grounds to conduct a full search. No warrant needed. No additional suspicion required. Just the gun. Think about what that actually means in practice. If the mere existence of a lawfully possessed firearm inside your car automatically gave police the authority to tear through every compartment, every bag, every corner of your vehicle, then you would be forced into an impossible choice. Exercise your Second Amendment right and lose your Fourth Amendment protection, or keep your Fourth Amendment protection and leave the firearm at home. 2 constitutional rights that are supposed to coexist were being turned into an either-or proposition, and it was spreading through the court system at an alarming pace. Cases like this one never start in a marble courtroom. They start exactly where yours would, on the shoulder of some road during a completely forgettable traffic stop. A driver gets pulled over for a minor violation, nothing dramatic, the kind of thing that should end with a warning or a small ticket. The officer approaches, and during the interaction it becomes clear there is a firearm in the vehicle. The driver is calm, cooperative, hands visible, no erratic behavior, no signs of anything suspicious beyond the fact that a legal gun exists inside the car. But the officer makes a decision. He treats the firearm itself as sufficient justification to search the entire vehicle. No warrant, no additional probable cause, no specific facts suggesting any criminal activity whatsoever. Just the presence of a gun that the driver had every legal right to possess. The driver objects, the search happens anyway. And when the case reaches the lower courts, those courts side with the officer. They essentially ruled that being a gun owner made you suspicious enough to forfeit your privacy. One constitutional right was used as the battering ram to override another. Then the case landed on the desk of the United States Supreme Court, and what happened next is the part that should make every gun owner in America sit up straight. 9 justices representing every ideological position on that bench, from the most conservative to the most liberal, looked at this situation and reached the identical conclusion. 9-0. No splits, no narrow concurrences, no dissents buried in footnotes. Complete, total, unified agreement. The core of the ruling, and every single word here carries weight, is this. The mere presence of a legally possessed firearm in a vehicle does not by itself constitute probable cause to search that vehicle. Legal gun ownership is not suspicious activity. Lawful carry is not evidence of a crime. Law enforcement cannot use a citizen's exercise of one constitutional right as justification to strip them of another. The Second Amendment does not cancel the Fourth Amendment. They exist together, they stand together, and a law-abiding gun owner is entitled to both, simultaneously, without condition. Armed does not equal criminal. 9-0. You hear 9-0 and you think you have got an invincible shield the next time you see flashing lights in your mirror. You do not. This ruling has very specific boundaries, and there are 3 trapdoors that can collapse your protection instantly if you do not understand them. The first trapdoor is about legal status. This ruling protects lawful gun owners, period. If you are a prohibited person, if there is a felony conviction, a qualifying restraining order, or any other disqualifying factor in your background, this protection does not extend to you. The moment an officer has reasonable suspicion that the firearm is not legally possessed, its presence transforms from an innocent detail into potential evidence of a crime. The shield only functions when your legal house is in perfect order. The second trapdoor involves how the firearm is stored. Numerous states have very specific statutes governing where a gun can be located in a vehicle, whether it needs to be unloaded, whether it must be in a locked container. If an officer walks up to your window and sees a firearm stored in clear violation of your state's requirements, the 9-0 ruling evaporates on the spot. In that scenario, the officer is not searching because you have a gun. He is searching because he has observable evidence of a criminal storage violation. This is where well-intentioned, otherwise responsible gun owners trip themselves up, and it is completely avoidable if you spend 5 minutes understanding your state's vehicle storage laws before you turn the key. The third trapdoor is the broadest and the one officers will lean on most heavily. While the gun alone is no longer probable cause, it can absolutely be one ingredient in a larger recipe. If you are pulled over and there is an odor of a controlled substance, a passenger behaving in a way that raises legitimate concern, and you are giving contradictory answers to basic questions, the officer will argue that it was not just the firearm. He will point to the totality of the circumstances and claim the gun. Combined with everything else, created probable cause. The Supreme Court did not eliminate the automobile exception to the Fourth Amendment. What they eliminated is the ability to use a legal gun as the sole reason. Every other factor at the scene still counts. That distinction is the difference between protection and exposure. And then there's the single most dangerous moment of any traffic stop. And it is not what most people expect. It is not the approach. It is not the moment the officer spots the firearm. It is the moment right after, when the officer realizes he does not have enough legal justification for a search, so he tries a different path. He asks for your permission. It might sound exactly like this. Hey, since there is a firearm in the vehicle, just for everyone's safety, would you mind if I take a quick look around? He sounds perfectly reasonable. He sounds like he is just doing his job, and every cooperative instinct in your body is going to tell you to say yes, to prove you have nothing to hide. Do not do it. The instant you say sure or go ahead or I do not mind, the 9-0 Supreme Court decision becomes legally irrelevant. Consent overrides the ruling entirely. You have just handed the officer unlimited authority to go through every compartment, every bag, every inch of your vehicle, and you cannot undo that in a courtroom later. So let us walk through the mechanics of how a traffic stop should go when you are carrying legally. The moment those lights appear behind you, pull over safely and without delay. Kill the engine, roll your window down completely. If your windows are tinted, get the rear ones down too. If it is dark outside, flip on the dome light. Then put both hands flat on top of the steering wheel and keep them there. Do not reach for your registration. Do not dig around for your wallet. Just be still. The majority of traffic stop escalations have nothing to do with legal arguments. They start because an officer cannot see what the person inside the vehicle is doing. Uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates decisions. Nobody wants made at a car window. Remove the uncertainty before the officer reaches your door. When the officer asks for documents, do not reach for anything yet, especially if your firearm is anywhere near where those documents are stored. Speak first. Say something like, "Officer, my registration is in the glove box, and I want you to know I'm legally carrying a firearm. How would you like me to proceed?" That single sentence accomplishes 3 critical things at once. It demonstrates full cooperation, it eliminates surprise. And by asking the officer how to proceed, you're putting the decision in their hands, signaling that you're not a threat, You're a responsible citizen following a process. Most officers recognize that instantly and respond accordingly. Know your state's disclosure laws before you ever leave your driveway. Some states legally require you to inform an officer immediately that you're carrying. Others impose no such obligation. If your state mandates disclosure, comply immediately and calmly. If it does not and the firearm is not visible, you are under no legal obligation to volunteer the information unless directly asked. But if you're asked, never lie. A single false statement to an officer can turn a completely routine interaction into a criminal matter faster than almost anything else. If the officer asks to search your vehicle, respond calmly and without hostility. Officer, I respect what you do, but I do not consent to any searches of my person or my vehicle. No lecture. No constitutional citations. No roadside debate. You're not there to win an argument on the shoulder of a highway. You're there to protect your legal position so you can win later in a courtroom with an attorney beside you. If the officer pushes back with something like, well, if you have nothing to hide, why not just let me look? Recognize that for what it is. It is psychological pressure designed to make refusal feel like guilt. You respond calmly. I'm exercising my rights and I do not consent to a search, and then you stop talking. Silence is one of the most powerful legal tools you have. Do not fill quiet moments with nervous explanations. Do not answer questions about where you're headed or where you have been. You can politely say you prefer not to answer additional questions. Refusing to answer is not suspicious under the law. It is a protected exercise of your Fifth Amendment rights. Most people try to talk their way out of a search and end up handing the officer exactly the building blocks he needs to construct probable cause. Your words become his tools. Silence removes every single one of those tools from the table. There is one final layer that almost nobody discusses, and it can destroy your protections without any warning whatsoever. This ruling strengthens your Fourth Amendment shield nationally, but it does not create a uniform firearms law across all 50 states. Every state maintains its own rules on concealed carry, permit requirements, reciprocity agreements, storage regulations, and duty to inform obligations. The second you cross a state line, your legal status can shift completely. A carry permit that is perfectly valid at home may not be recognized one state over. A firearm stored legally under your seat in one jurisdiction may violate a locked container requirement in the next. If you drive from a constitutional carry state into a state that demands firearms be secured in a specific manner, and your gun does not meet that standard, the officer now has real probable cause, and the 9-0 ruling will not help you at all. Researching the laws of every state you pass through is not a suggestion if you travel armed. It is a requirement. Use a reciprocity app. Check state public safety websites. Know the storage rules. Understand where your permit is honored and where it is not. This ruling protects lawful possession. It has never protected unlawful possession, and ignorance of state-specific law has never been a valid constitutional defense. Both rights exist simultaneously, and the government may not use one to demolish the other. But a right written on paper only protects people who know how to exercise it correctly in the real world. This ruling works for those whose possession is lawful, whose behavior during the stop is controlled, and whose mouth does not hand over what the Constitution just protected. Calm hands when you stop, clear words when the officer approaches. No sudden movements, no voluntary consent, no roadside arguments. Know your state laws inside and out. Understand reciprocity before you cross any border. Store your firearm exactly as required wherever you happen to be standing, because the moment your possession becomes unlawful for any reason, everything this ruling provides vanishes, and no amount of case law will bring it back in that moment. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.